I was asked that question 2 years ago in a room full of leaders from across this continent. Entrepreneurs, educators, civil society, and a host of other people who had contributed to what constitutes a good society. And I realized that answer was not in a textbook. It was in a workshop. It was in the hands of a young person learning to build something for the very first time.
In 1957, Ghana lit a torch. Kwame Nkrumah's vision went beyond political freedom. He understood that independence without industrial capacity was merely neocolonialism. A country theoretically free, but economically directed from the outside. His 7-year development plan was audacious. Build the energy infrastructure, capture the full value chain, transform an agrarian economy into an industrial state. The Akosombo Dam, Gehok Steelworks, Bonsutai Factory, Joapound Textiles, over 80 state-owned factories, Africa's first industrial revolution, led by Ghanaians for Ghanaians.
The point is, he had experienced the speed with which the industrialization contributes to socio-economic development of nations and people. And he wanted to realize that quickly here in Ghana.
But the momentum could not hold. Commodity prices crashed, debt mounted, and the economic pressure of a changing world forced Ghana in a different direction.
You talked of why that period of industrialization dipped or slumped, not just dipped, because we haven't recovered yet. I believe largely because, one, you must have the personnel of knowledge and experience to manage the industrial establishments. People complain a lot about the many factories our first president established being sold off or not working. I believe if you do the analysis well, you'd see that perhaps the prerequisites for industrialization, market, trained personnel, the disciplines, and then these days we talk competitiveness. That you are producing something doesn't mean you have a monopoly of market. If you can't compete, then you don't generate the resources to sustain your industrial maturation. So I believe that's what hit us.
Every president since has carried that torch in their own way. Across 4 republics, through coups and constitutions, structural adjustments and stabilization, oil discoveries and infrastructural booms, trade liberalization and education reform. Every era of Ghanaian leadership has contributed something essential to the nation's development. Every republic built on what came before. Now 4 republics and nearly 7 decades, each one built a piece of Ghana's future. But across every era, one question has remained open. Who will operate the factories? Who will maintain the infrastructure? Who will turn the raw materials into finished goods? Where is the skilled workforce? That question belongs to the nation, and one institution has spent the last 10 years answering it. By 2050, more than 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. The continent's population will reach 2.5 billion. By 2035, more young Africans will enter the workforce each year than in the rest of the world combined. This is either the greatest opportunity in human history or the most dangerous crisis.
Africa should appreciate that it's caught in a global market, and that when you are training your personnel, the psychology must be also global. So it's a must. And the world is not waiting for anybody. The rapidity of science and technology is such that unless we show foresight and prepare to be in the mainstream of the rapidly changing global market. We'll be on the sidelines.
Ghana needs a significantly larger number of skilled workers to support industrialization and economic growth. DTI represents a good example of modern TVET delivery in Ghana. The institute integrates industry partnerships, competency-based training, and a high-quality workshop practice. This approach aligns closely with the reforms we are driving nationally to ensure TVET produces graduates who are immediately productive in workplace.
Education is not something I stumbled into. It was something I was born into. For over 4 generations, my family has been in the business of building minds. My grandmother, Mrs. Edith Amatefio, ran one of Kaneshi's most respected schools. Her brother, Agyekum Kufuor, was a founding father of Accra Academy, one of Ghana's most renowned senior high schools, and served as its first headmaster. The institution he helped birth went on to produce Fred Apalu, former Chief Justice of Ghana, Dr. Richard Damwa, scientist at NASA, and Betty Mulder-Drisu, Ghana's first female Attorney General, among many others. His younger brother, Alote Konwa, carried the torch forward as the school's second headmaster. My aunt, Mrs. Chinwe, became the first headmistress of Infantsma Senior High School in Cape Coast. This was the air we breathed. My mother, Mrs. Swaniker, continued the tradition, founding a well-regarded private primary school in Botswana, where she received the highest honors from the President of Botswana for her contributions to quality education in the country. It was within these walls that something took roots in my brother Fred and me. Fred went on to found the African Leadership Academy in South Africa and the African Leadership University across Mauritius and Rwanda, institutions that have redefined what leadership education looks like on this continent. I took a different path. But the same calling, I went on to establish the Design and Technology Institute, Ghana's National Center of Excellence for Technical and Vocational Education, where young Africans are trained to learn, work, and lead Africa's industrial future. For us, education was never a profession, it was a calling. But I looked at what was happening in Ghana and across Africa, and I saw a disconnect. Young people were graduating with certificates they couldn't use. Industries were desperate for skilled workers that they couldn't find. There was a chasm between the classroom and the factory floor. 2 years ago, I sat in a room with leaders from across this continent through the African Leadership Initiative and the Aspen Institute, and were asked to define the tenets of a good society. I read about Julius Nyerere, I debated with entrepreneurs and policymakers, and I realized that that answer was already in front of me. A good society is one that a young person can learn a skill that the world values, find dignified work, and build a life. This is what DTI seeks to create, not only for Ghana, but for Africa.
Constance Swaniker did not wait for a campus. In 2016, she founded the Arts Institute inside her own factory, Ascent and Arts, turning her production floor into a classroom and her craft people into instructors. By 2019, the demand had outgrown the factory. DTI moved to its own campus and welcomed its first cohort of 33 students. Today, DTI holds the only American Welding Society since accredited welding program on the African continent.
With welding in DTI, we started with the local curriculum called the TVET, and running it for some time, we realized that if our learners are to go to industry, they'll be termed as foundational learners, and they may not be able to do key welding processes and activities. So we reached out to the American Welding Society, which is the biggest welding body in America and the surrounding countries. And we told them that we want to use your science program. The science program is basically every technical or vocational training school in America will use to train in welding. They gave us accreditation in 10th October 2024.
But what DTI set out to build was never just a training center. It was something far more ambitious. A new model for how Africa learns, works, and leads the future.
Every course at DTI must answer one question. How does this help Africa lead the future? And if it doesn't, we don't teach it.
DTI demonstrates that when training is industry-driven, practical, and quality-focused, TVET produces highly competent graduates. It shows that technical education can be modern, rigorous, and directly linked to employment outcomes. The Precision Quality Framework is one of the perfect examples of public-private partnerships. The initiative was led by DTI in partnership with the Commission for TVET and NDPC. The focus is to establish consistent standards in technical training.
Through its workplace experience learning model, DTI integrates education directly into the world of work. Students don't just train for industry, they train inside industry.
My name is Valerie Labby, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Wahoo Mobility. And the first vehicle that we've gone to market with is our signature e-bike. One of the things that stands out for me around the type of students that come from DTI is their ability to commit to something, to commit to a level of excellence, to commit to a level of brilliance. And this really resonates in all the students that we've had in all the different areas. They come to work on time. They come to work polished, they ask questions, they're curious, and which means that they're able to learn very quickly in very dynamic environments, especially startup environments like ours.
Honestly, I was really satisfied with Mariam and her colleagues that came from DTI. We never had to teach them anything. On the contrary, they actually brought about a lot of value to the people around us and around them. I've been working with her closely and she really knows her work. I would say that she's really good at what she does.
DTI's precision quality philosophy ensures that graduates don't just fill vacancies, they are industry assets.
Before I started this journey, I wanted to build things, but I needed the right foundation. DTI didn't just teach me how to run. My time there was a turning point. That turned my passion into a career. I didn't just enter the industry as a beginner. I entered as a professional. They gave me the confidence to stand my ground.
DTI has contributed in shaping my daughter's character, shaping her conduct, as well as giving her skills and beyond that, linking her to industry.
After 1 month, he called me and said, "Mommy, now it's making sense. Thank you for supporting me to chart my career path." I said, "What is making sense?" He said, "When I was in a secondary school, I know of my physics teacher, he will come in and he will be theorists and definitions and say this is." One of the things he mentioned was that engineer's clip, then he will be in his mind like, and so what? I want to see the thing, feel it and use it. And you are here telling me that engineer's clip is used for A, B, C, D. But now it's making sense. I've seen it. I've used it in the maker space. That is why I want to thank you. We have this inner peace within us that our child already has a career. Can't imagine where we would have gotten that from if not DTI.
We have proven the model works. We have proven the demand is real. But right now, we turn away more students than we can accept. Unfortunately, every year, young people come to our gates, but we have to say there isn't space.
DTI currently trains about 450 residential students per year, but the waitlist is 3 times that number. Ghana's economy needs 300,000 new skilled workers annually. The model is proven, the demand is urgent. What's missing is the space to meet it. Every year that the Berekuso campus is not built, over 1,000 qualified young people are turned away.
Institutions like DTI demonstrate quality, but we need to scale such models to meet national demand.
This is the DTI Berekuso campus, 11 acres on the outskirts of Accra. And this is where the next chapter of Ghana's industrial story will take physical form.
And I met this young lady who to me is a great artist, trained at the University of Science and Technology. This house in which you are questioning me, she was part of the people who put it together for me. When you raise your eyes, you see the metal designs up there. She did everything. And so I got so impressed with her. And in the process, I saw she had the vision and ambition to help train people, young people. I discovered further that perhaps the sense of development was genetic, because I learned her brother was also within Southern Africa doing wonders, setting up universities in Mauritius and Rwanda for leadership and so forth and so on. So then I thought I had discovered such a natural talent that must be supported. And this is the bond of our friendship. She's got the ambition and the vision to really contribute to helping not only Ghana, but the continent and even the world.
Foundation has already been laid. The African Union and KFW invested $3 million in the core academic infrastructure. The architectural plans are complete. The land is ready and ground has been broken. What is needed now is not more planning, it's the commitment to build and the partners with whom we will build.
When I started DTI, people told me it could not be done. 10 years later, over 48,000 young people have walked through our various training programs and have walked out transformed. I think about every student we've had to turn away because there wasn't space. This campus is for them. Every workshop, every lab, every residence, it exists so that the next generation of African builders, designers, and leaders has a home worthy of their ambition. In Africa, we have a word for this, Ubuntu. I am because you are. At DTI, a student learns because a facilitator teaches. A family rises because a graduate builds. A community grows because an entrepreneur employs. This is not a business model. This is the foundation of a good society. My grandmother was an educator. My mother was an educator. And if God allows, what we have built here at Berekuso will be educating Africa's young people long after I'm gone.
What you have watched in this film is really not a proposal. It is a track record, 48,000 young people trained, and nationally adopted quality policy, the only American Welding Society certified welding program on the African continent. Construction begins in 2026. The first students will walk through the gates of Berekuso campus within 2 years. Between now and then, every partnership, every investment, every commitment will determine whether this campus opens at a scale Ghana needs, or whether another generation of young people will be told there is no space. 2057, Ghana will celebrate a century of independence, and I believe the most important question that day will be, did we build a good society? Did we equip our young people to produce, to build, to lead? Did we create institutions that outlasted all of us? Constance Swaniker has spent the last 10 years proving that this model works. But she could not build Berekuso campus alone. This is an invitation to those who build, and to those who truly believe that Ghana's most valuable resource is its people, to build it with her.